Hey guys, this is me Padma from Programmis and welcome back to this series on C programming. In this video, we'll learn about for loop to repeat a block of code for a specific number of times. So let's get started. In the last video, we learned about while loop. Similar to the while loop, we can also use for loop to repeat a block of code for multiple times. Let's start with the syntax of for loop. A for loop starts with the for keyword and three expressions inside the parentheses. The first expression is called initialization expression. It declares and initializes a variable, for example, int I equals to 0. The initialization expression is executed only once. Next, the test expression. The test expression is a Boolean expression that evaluates to true or false. For example, I is less than 5. If the test expression is true, then the code inside the for loop is executed and then the update expression is executed. The update expression changes the value of a variable, for example, I++ or I plus 1. Here the value of I is increased by 1 in each iteration. Now again the test expression is executed. If the test expression is true again, then the code inside the for loop is executed and the value of I is updated again. And the test expression is evaluated for the third time. This process continues until the test expression I less than 5 becomes false. If the test expression is false, then the for loop terminates. Now you know the working of a for loop. Let's see an example. I'll remove this old code and I'll start with the basic structure of C program. Here you can see the basic structure of C program. Suppose I want to print the number from 0 to 9. So I'll use for loop with initialization expression int I equals 0. Since I want numbers up to 9, so I'll write the condition I less than 10. And I'll increase the value of I by 1 in each iteration. And inside for loop, I'll print the value of I. So printf %d comma I. And to make our code much more cleaner and understandable, I'll put the space here. So I'll run this code. You can see the numbers from 0 to 9 are printed on the screen. Let's see what's happening here. Initially, the value of I is equals to 0. So the statement inside the for loop is executed and 0 is printed on the screen. Now the update expression increases the value of I from 0 to 1 and test expression is evaluated again. Since 1 is still less than 10, then the test expression is true and the statement inside the for loop is executed and 1 is printed on the screen. The update expression again increase the value of I from 1 to 2. The process continues for the value of I up to 9. When the value of I becomes 10, the test expression becomes 10 is less than 10, which is false. Then the loop terminates and in this way we get the output from 0 to 9. We can also use the for loop to print the message multiple times. Here instead of printing the value of I, I'll print the message. So I'll cut this part and I'll write the message like emergency condition. So let's run this. As you can see, the message emergency condition is printed 10 times. Now suppose I want to print the message 20 times. So I'll change the value from 10 to 20 and I'll run this again. As you can see, it is printed 20 times. By the way, if you are watching this, there is a good chance you want to improve your skills in C programming. Lucky for you, we have a mobile app that provides a well-structured C programming course with certification at the end, and you can use the app alongside the video to practice on the built-in compiler. Our course is free, so download now by scanning this QR code or click the link in the video description. Now, let's see a practical example of a for loop in C programming. Suppose we want to find the sum of all numbers from 1 to 100. Then instead of adding the number like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 and so on, we can do is use a for loop. Let me show you. I'll use the same code from earlier. First, I'll cut this part because we won't need this. Now I'll continue with the same code. Now since I want the sum from 1 to 100, so I'll change the initial value of I from 0 to 1, and I'll change this test condition from I is less than 20 to I is less than or equals to 100. Then this update expression will update the value by 1 in each iteration. Now our loop runs 100 times from 1 to 100. To store the sum of all numbers, I'll first create a variable sum and I'll assign value 0 to this. Then inside the for loop, I'll add sum variable with value of I. So sum equals to sum plus I. So it becomes sum plus 1 in first iteration and sum plus 2 in second iteration and so on. And finally, I'll print the value of sum outside the loop. So printf %d sum. Now I'll run this code. As you can see, we get 5050 as our output, which is the sum of all numbers from 1 to 100. Let's see how this program runs. Initially, the value of I is equals to 1. So this condition I less than or equals to 100 becomes true and the statement inside the loop is executed. Here we are adding sum with the value of I and assigning the value back to sum. So the new value of sum is 0 plus 1, that is equals to 1. Now the update expression will change the value of I to 2. Here the test expression is true again, and this time sum is equals to sum plus I, that is the value of sum is 1 from the first iteration and the value of I is 2 from the update expression. So 1 plus 2 is equals to 3. This time the value of sum is equals to 3. In this way, in each iteration, the value of I is added to the new value of sum, and finally when the value of I becomes 101, the test expression becomes false. So the loop terminates, and now final value of sum is equals to 5050, which is the sum of all the numbers from 1 to 100. You can see the use of for loop has made our tasks much easier and faster. If you have to add the number manually one by one, it will be so difficult and error prone. Okay guys, we need your support to keep these types of content free for all users. YouTube really likes engagement on the video, so leave a comment below, press that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get the engagement score high up so that more people can discover and enjoy these courses. Let's see one more example. This time I'll find the sum of only even numbers from 1 to 100. For this, all I have to do is change the initial value of I from 1 to 2, and I'll change this update expression by 2 instead of 1. So I'll change this. So I equals to I plus 2. So before I explain what's happening here, let me run this code. As you can see, the output 2550 is printed on the screen. Let's see what's happening here. Initially, the value of I is equals to 2, which is an even number. When the loop executes, 2 is added to the value of sum, which is 0, so the value of sum is equals to 2. Now, this update expression increases the value of I by 2, so the new value of I becomes 4, which is also an even. Since the test condition is true, then the expression inside the for loop is executed, so the value of I, which is equals to 4, is added with the value of sum, which is equals to 2 from the first iteration. So we get the value of sum equals to 2 plus 4, that is equals to 6, which is also an even number. In this way, the update expression only updates the value of I to an even number, and even value is added to the sum, and this way we get the sum of even numbers and we get the final output 2550. Now to revise what we have learned, here is a programming task for you. Can you use the for loop to compute the sum of only odd number from 1 to 100? In each iteration, you need to add an odd number to the sum. Try the program and comment your code below. You can find the answer to this question in our GitHub repository, and if you want to revise this concept, you can find all this program there. I'll put the link in the video description. Now that we have reached the end of this video, it's time for programming quiz. In the for loop below, which is the update statement? Comment your answer below. See you in the next video. Happy programming!